Jonathan Schick back with you with another episode of Shtisel Man. We're focusing on Season 2, Episode 9. And one of the most heartbreaking scenes in all of Shtisel, although it does get, quote, rectified later, is watching Ruchami waiting at the bus station for Hanina and for her true love to come for the Shabbat, for the weekend, and yet he does not arrive. And she's heartbroken, and only later in the episode when Gitti sees the notebook, and you'll see the continued storyline as it unfolds in the next few episodes. But the main point I want to bring out here is a little bit off of the usual reservation, if you will, about Shtisel. I want to hone in on the feelings of isolation and desperation that Ruchami felt. And I don't want to make this a political type of episode, if you will, or video, but I want to make the point for the situation that we are facing with COVID. And now that COVID is maybe coming again with the Delta variant and whatnot. I've worked in Jewish education for 12, 13 years. And then I've been a consultant for schools and nonprofits in both Jewish and non-Jewish organizations and schools. And I have a very big interest and maybe soft spot for children and for the plights that teenagers, most of my work was with teenagers, face. And ultimately, Ruchami was a teenager, is a teenager in this series. Now, I know people who have died from COVID. I know people who have suffered from COVID in the physical illness of it all, and I'm not minimizing it whatsoever. But I think that one of the things early on I was talking about, and finally now is getting the appropriate amount of attention, is the emotional and mental toll on our youth, especially due to this isolation. We all know that social media itself can be very isolating. It has tremendous tools, but it can put someone really focused on their own island. And for teenagers who live and die sometimes with the approval of their friends, social media can be a very big jungle. Now, when you take away the social interaction, the normal social interaction of people talking to human beings talking to each other, and you're only left with the devices, and a lot of this has to do with the isolation imposed by the situation with the pandemic, you trade, in my opinion, one problem for another one, which arguably could have even longer lasting effects. There have been suicides by teenagers and even young preteens. This is not a new phenomenon, but it's increased tremendously under COVID and the isolation. We need to be smart about how we tackle something like this, and we have to realize that this type of lifestyle is really non-human, is really not a way that humans live or thrive. And I have personally seen, I work with right now a major mental health nonprofit, and they have seen their numbers skyrocket. And they don't have, they can't hire enough staff daily to handle the avalanche of new cases. We were talking about between 150 to 200% increases. And these are huge, huge numbers. And they're not being made up, they are real. And the people and the kids especially that are dealing with these problems are real. Now, in many situations, camps have opened this summer. It's only very recently that the variant has come about and the camps are maybe looking forward. But now school is coming out, and the taking away of these situations. And I personally have my own children, and I have a lot of family, and I see the impact on the kids. So my only point with this is look at Ruchami, look at her desperation, her isolation, her all she wanted was that human connection, and what she is when she doesn't have it. We all need that human connection, and especially our children need it. Let's give that back to them in a healthy, safe way, but in a way that is appropriate for way human beings need to be in a growing and healthy and emotionally and mentally healthy way, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. Thanks a lot, and we'll be back with more Shtisel Man next time. Thanks a lot.